In your personal narrative packet, open up to narrative writing. This page should be the second or third page in your packet. Let's take a look at what we're going to be doing. We are going to be writing personal narratives. Yes, you do need to write this down, and yes, you have to spell it correctly because I am giving you the way to spell it on your screen. Who's going to be reading these? Well, it's going to be for our classmates and family. That's who's going to be reading these. And the topic that we're going to choose is an experience that taught you something. So we're not just going to pick anything. We're picking something that we actually learned from. So this is our goal. When we're all done with this unit, you will have written a personal narrative. Say, I can write a personal narrative. You can. You might not think it, but I'll walk you through every step. Here we go. Now, we already did our goal, so I'm not going to do it again. Right here, personal narrative. That's an experience that has taught us something. So we're going to skip that part, and we're going to go down here to the elements of narrative writing. Now, this is the same as the rubric. So we're not actually going to fill this out. We're going to go and look at the rubric to figure out what are the things that we're going to include in our personal narrative. So the first part is ideas. You have to focus on one event. And sometimes that's really hard because we're not talking about a whole trip to Michigan Adventures as one event. We're talking about one ride at Michigan Adventures. Okay, so make sure that you realize we're not going big. We're going small, one small event. Not the whole vacation, but one thing that happened on the vacation. Now, so are your ideas engaging? Does that mean people want to read them? And will they remember your story? All right, so that's what we're looking for in ideas. For organization, is it in a logical manner? That means that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we can clearly tell each of the three parts. Did you use transition words? And I'm going to show you all this, okay? So don't worry. Right now I'm just going to show you the overview, and then we're going to look at each of the different components as we learn how to write a personal narrative. Next is voice. Does it sound like you? It should sound like your voice, okay? You should not sound like a robot. That's not what you sound like. Okay, so we want to hear what you in it. Word choice. Okay, words and language are precise. That means it's clear, it's easy to understand. We're not looking for huge words. We're looking for clear words. And we're looking for the mechanics and grammar, so spelling, punctuation, capital letters, quotation marks, commas, all of that to be done correctly. So that's what we're doing in our narrative writing. That's our end goal. But again, don't get scared. I'm going to walk you through every step. The Bike by Gary Soto. My first bike got me nowhere. Through the shadow I cast as I pedaled raced along my side. The leaves of bird-filled trees stirred a warm breeze, and litter scuttled out of the way. Our orange cats looked on from the fence, their tails up like antennas. I opened my mouth, and the wind tickled the back of my throat. When I squinted, I could see past the end of the block. My hair flicked like black fire, and I thought I was pretty cool riding up and down the block, age 5, in my brother's hand-me-down shirt. Going up and down the block was one thing, but taking the first curve out of sight of Mom and the house was another. I was scared of riding on Sarah Street. Mom said hungry dogs lived on that street, and red anger lived in their eyes. Their throats were hard with extra bones from biting kids on bikes, she said. But I took the corner anyway. I didn't believe Mom. Once she had said that pointing at rainbows caused freckles, And after a rain had moved drenched the streets, and after the sparrows flitted down onto the lawn, a rainbow washed over the junkyard and reached the dark barrels of Coleman pickle. I stood at the window, looking out, amazed and devious, with the devilish horns of my butch hair standing up. From behind the window I let my fingers slowly uncurl like a bean plant rising from earth. I uncurled it, then curled it back and made a fist. I should remember this day, I told myself. I pedaled my squeaky bike around the curve onto Sarah Street, but returned immediately. I braked and looked back at where I had gone. My face was hot, my hair sweaty, but nothing scary seemed to happen. The street had looked like our street. Parked cars, tall trees, a sprinkler hissing on the lawn, and an old woman bending over her garden. I started again, and again I rode the curve, my eyes open as wide as they could go. After a few circle eights, I returned to our street. There ain't no dogs, I told myself. I began to think that maybe this was like one of those false rainbow warnings. I turned my bike and rode a few times in front of our house, just in case Mom was looking for me. I called out, "Hi, Mom! I haven't gone anywhere." I saw her face in the window, curlers piled high, and she waved a dish towel at me. I waved back. And when she disappeared, I again tore my bike around the curve onto Sarah Street. I was free! The wind flicked my hair and cooled my ears. I did figure eights, rode up on the curbs and onto lawns, bumped into trees, and rode over a garden hose 100 times because I liked the way the water sprang up from the sprinkler after the pressure of my tires. I stopped when I saw a kid my age come down a porch. His machinery for getting around was a tricycle. Big baby, I thought, and said, "You can run over my leg with your trike if you want." I lay down on the sidewalk, and the kid with fingers in his mouth said, "Okay." He backed up slowly, like a tank, advanced. I folded my arms behind my head and watched a jay swoop by with what looked like a cracker in its beak. When the tire climbed over my ankle and sparks of pain cut through my skin, I sat up quickly, my eyes flinging tears like a sprinkler. The boy asked, "Did it hurt?" "No," I said, almost crying. The kid could see that it did. He could see my face strain to hold back a sob, 2 tears dropping like dimes into the dust. He pedaled away on his bucket of bolts and tossed it on his front lawn. He looked back before climbing the stairs and disappeared into the house. I pulled up my pants leg. My ankle was purple, large and hot, and the skin was flaked like wood shavings. I patted spit onto it and laid back down. I cried because no one was around, the tears stirring up a lather on my dirty face. I rose to my feet and walked around, trying to make the ankle feel better. I got on my bicycle and pedaled mostly with the good leg. The few tears still on my eyelashes evaporated as I rode. I realized I would live. I did nothing fancy on the way home. No figure eights, no wiggling of the handlebars, no hands in my pockets, no closed eye moments. Then the sudden bark of a dog scared me, and my pants leg fed into the chain, the bike coming to an immediate stop. I tugged at the cuff, gnashed and oil black, until ripping sounds made me quit trying. I fell to the ground, bike and all, and let the tears lather my face again. I then dragged the bike home, with the pants leg in the chain. There was nothing to do except lie in the dirt because Mom saw me around the corner from Sarah Street. I lay down when she came out with the belt, and I didn't blame the dog or that stupid rainbow. Now, let's use that story to fill out this worksheet. Now, did the author, Gary Soto, focus on just one event? Well, let's take a quick look. The bike. Did he write about just one bike event? Yeah. We read through the whole thing. It's not about his bike today and his bike yesterday and the bike tomorrow. No, it's all about this one afternoon riding his bike. So that's one event. One afternoon riding his bike. So it's very simple and easy for us to tell us the event. Now, was there dialogue between characters? No. Dialogue means that people are talking back and forth. Hey, how are you? I'm great. How are you? Oh, I just lost my tooth and it hurts. That's dialogue. Now, to show dialogue, we use quotation marks. So right now, get your quotation marks out. Quotation marks. And there's two of them, not just one. So let's look in the story and see if we can find any dialogue. Okay, I'm going to stop it right here. I want you to look and see, do you find any quotation marks that tell us people are talking? There's one. Now that's only one person talking. Is there any place where there's two people talking? Is that what you found? So we have Anne said, you can run over my leg with your trike if you want. Period, quotation marks. The period goes inside the, okay. I laid down on the sidewalk and the kid with fingers in his mouth. So see how he explains what the kid looked like? Makes a picture in your head. Okay. Oh, and you remember that sentence length thing that we said we want different levels of lengths of our sentence? Look how long this sentence is. Now look at this one. All right, so let's go back here. And we're going to put uses quotation marks talking between him and little kid. All right. Does it make you want to know what happened next? Well, let's look at the story at the very end. She came out, I lay down when she came out with the belt. And I didn't blame the dog or that stupid rainbow. What do you think happened? Do you want to know what happens next? Are you interested? Does it capture your attention? That's the sign of good writing. I want to know what happened with the belt. Okay, so these are questions you're going to ask when you write your personal narrative. Can you find the one event? Can you find the quotation marks? Is there something at the end that makes you want to know more? All right, describe the author's hook. A hook, let's hold it right, hook. A hook is what makes you so interested that you want to keep reading more. That's how you get interested. So we'll go back to the beginning now. My first bite got me nowhere. Huh, that doesn't make any sense to me. Nowhere? A bike takes you places. So how does a bike get you nowhere? So see how you get your attention by saying something that's so outrageous but fits with the story? Outrageous but fits with the story. And we're just going to put that in there. Now remember, we're quoting, so if we quote, we have to use quotation marks. Now find an example of engaging voice. engaging? What makes you interested? What about this sentence? Does this make you interested? Makes me interested. I want you to find a sentence in the story that makes you interested and put it there. You can choose this one or you can choose a different one, your choice. And remember, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video. And why do you think the author wrote the personal narrative? So we have this story, The Bike, by Gary Soto. Why do you think he wrote this? I want you to write down any reason that you think. Yes, this is going to get checked, so please write something down. Let's take a look at our objectives and see if we met them. To learn about our end goal of writing a personal narrative. Yes, we learned that a personal narrative has to have ideas focused on one event, that it needs to have a beginning, middle, and end, and it has to have transition words, that the voice has to sound like the author, not like a robot. Our word choice is very clear, and it makes a picture in the mind. It's easy to make that picture. It has words that give you the feeling, words that tell you the smell, what you hear, what you see, what you taste. And the mechanics and grammar, it has to be written with capital letters, punctuation, all of that fun stuff. And we discovered the elements in the story, The Bike by Gary Soto. And we saw each of these things inside of there.